Well, that was weird. Whoops, lost my chat window. Right, chat window. No, Cormac. Hello, Cormac. How's things over there in your delightful country? Flex Alex Images. I don't recognize your name. Someone new. Alright. And here we go, Mr. Nash. Shouldn't you be doing hard work somewhere, Mr. Nash? Okay. Alrighty. Mr. Nash, give me the go when we're ready to go. Let's see what else I've got to find here. So one of these has got to have what I want. Nope, you're different. You're not even a proper board. It's just weird. Oh well. Anyway. Hey, Sweden Tom Matt. Thank you very much, Tom. You need to stream now when I'm about to go to work. It's just pure talent. And Motorman212. Alright, we're ready to go. Okay. Basically what we had was a MacBook Air came in. It had a solid state drive, wasn't showing up. We'd just get the... Well, there wasn't a boot petition or anything on it. It was just, when you boot up to Windows. When you boot up the Apple, it just comes up the circle with the cross through it. Checked the SSD, it seemed fine. I boot into Ubuntu, checked it out, it all was okay. But if you tried to go into the recovery, you would get the beloved minus 1005F error, which is a network connectivity problem. So I downloaded the High Sierra USB stick installer and reinstalled everything, and it was at that point that the Wi-Fi still wasn't coming up, and I checked back in Ubuntu again. Sure enough, it just wasn't available. So at that point I decided, right, time to take the board out, have a look over it, and there was one component in mind I had, and fortunately I got lucky, and it seems to have been that. And this board is basically pristine apart from me switching over to the right view. There we go. Hey, Tony Nash. So where was it? So we got the glorious SMC. This, I mean, I was thinking, oh, maybe it's, bits of scum like this. No, that's pretty normal. But then this little blighter turned up. And this here is U3550, which is, would you believe it? We showed on the display. So what do we got over here? This little chap, U35. And what do you know? Wireless switch. So we're going to have to simply replace that, and hopefully we will be good. Hopefully. Now these are a bit of a pain in the posterior to actually replace because they're the glass type units. Now I just want to see if I've got another one that, because a lot of these seem slightly different. What I can't work out, this is what's really odd. Let's see these two blobs. They're not covering anything. If you look at the other boards, that is covered. So something happened there in the manufacturing maybe. Or maybe it's deliberate, I don't know. So again, it's covered. That's why I was fishing through my donor boards for a bit there, because I'm thinking, oh, maybe I've got the wrong one. Let's check. I've got one more here. Let's have a look at this one. Oh, here we go. This one is that way. Yeah. So my best. What are you? You're one. I just realised something. This is a 165, not a 3437. Not that it makes any real difference, but it's an interesting variation. So I'm actually looking at the wrong board view and schematic, but that actually doesn't matter because the 3437 and the 165 are almost identical. Apparently, apart from the weird blobbing nature that they've got here, and I can see that track's actually lifting up a little bit. So we're going to have a bit of a clean-up job here before we do anything else. So I'm going to assume that part is completely cactus. But it's just weird that on the 165 it's not covered, but on the 3437s it is. Alright, let's go. What I find more interesting is how out of the entire board, it's just this tiny little area that happened to be corroded. I gotta be real careful with these. What's gonna be fun though is, there we go. Okay. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. I guess it was just the luck of the draw. Some bug or something like that decided to make its nest there. At least it was only Wi-Fi. That does not. It's a serious mess. Hopefully we can actually fix this. I think I'm going to just knock those two blobs off, which would be considerably easier if I left it warm. But really, what's the point of them being there? I can understand if they were covering something, but they're not. Oh well. Apple engineering. We've got two pads. Come on, I want all six. Hey Spidey, thanks for joining. We're gonna have to go for the scrapes. Well, on the upside, it doesn't look like it's a control signal line. The one up the top left there may be slightly problematic, but at least it goes straight to a large area. The one I was truly worried about is the gate line, or the enable line, which is this one down here, and that looks perfectly intact. These ones here we can just bodge, and this one, this will have to be scraped back. See, we've got that bright orange corrosion. We'll get rid of that, fix it up, and she should be right. Nah, those tweezers are no good. What am I after? I want an X-Acto knife. Hey Donald. So I wasn't sure exactly how bad this corrosion was going to be, but oh yeah, look at that. See how that's gone all the way up. So you got to scrape all of that back, otherwise it just keeps growing. Okay, I think we're about finished there. That's quite a distance it managed to get. I wonder what line that is. Let's have a look. Yeah, we don't want to look at everyone's chat. So that's this one here. Oh, that's ground. Interesting. But yeah, this is the pin that I was mostly concerned about. So anyway, clean item. Yeah, the corrosion, whatever it was, it basically just wicks along beneath the conformal layer. And as you can see, it goes quite a distance. So yeah, it pays to dig back until you get solid adhesion on the conformal layer to the copper. So we'll just put some green mechanic stuff on top of that once we're done. Anyway, I do actually like these sort of jobs where you gotta dig back and then rebuild. Makes me feel like I'm actually doing real work for a change. So whatever it was fairly acidic. Or actually no, it could have been alkaline too. I'll leave that to the chemists. Maybe I'll call up Cody's lab and say, hey Cody, what would have done this? But then he'd probably just pour a gallon of mercury on it. Oh wow. Alright, finally I think we're done. Hey Pernov, good to see you. Alright, now let's see what we can find under these layers. Like I said, these don't matter quite so much because if we lose the pads, it's these large areas here, we can just carry on from them. I mean, ideally we want to keep the pads. I'm just saying it's not going to be a colossal loss. But they actually look pretty good. Ooh, we nearly did lose you. Wow, that was really lucky. Otherwise we'd have to route a wire. No, Mr. Bellissima, those boards haven't yet arrived. This is an actual job for a change. Hey, Thomas Traeger. Alright. Now let's get some solder down. I'll just warm up the area a little. Warming up the area just makes it easier for me to do this. Okay. I'll get to your questions in a second. The solder is... what have I got? I used to use 0.5, something like that, but this is something quite a bit thinner. I'm using Kester 44 rosin core. Where are you? You're like 0.4 or something like that. I'm surprised it doesn't actually say. But it's a 6337. Oh, 0.4 millimeter, which is 15 thou. So let's see if we can show that anywhere. No, that camera's on autofocus. Not on autofocus. Let's see. But yeah, it's 15 thou, 6337 mixture. I got this from Amazon. And now I've lost my starter line. I'll find it another day. Alright. Oh, Spidey, good to hear that the fuse was the good one, so basically your machine worked, I presume. Is it possible to connect a MagSafe cable to a desktop power supply unit? Yeah, I believe it is. I haven't personally done it, but Lewis does it, and a few others. Katie would probably try to recover the copper. I was going to say, you'd probably go for the gold, even though that's probably inside the chips. Hey Amy, my goodness, it's been a while since I saw you. And Martin Law. Ah, everybody's turning up. Alright, so now that's prepped, and I essentially have to go get another one from another board. Unfortunately, we do have one. The joy of donors. So the only real problem with these ones is they are very delicate, so it's a case of taking a little longer. I'm trying to wonder whether I should try and reball it or not. That could be a bit pedantic. Maybe I should. I've got a few. I'm pretty sure these other ones you can see around are the same thing. So if I do manage to bust up one, I've got a few others to have a shot at. So I'll let you guys vote whether I should reball it or just drop it down on... I think I'm going to... Actually, no. I think I'm just going to drop it down. Come on. It can be quite demoralizing how long these tiny parts can take to come off the board. Okay, so pin 1's up the top right. Come on, off you come. I didn't even have to hold that with tweezers, I just let it sit on the tweezers. Amy, it's just a switch. U3550. It's just a MOSFET in a different sort of package. Hey, and friend. It's alright. Like I said, I got to decide whether I want to reball this or not. I mean, I actually may have to. Well, that's going to be a pain. Let's see if we can do it the old, terrible way, the Umtosla way. Which is basically you get solder that's run out of a bit of flux and you try and try and not destroy your package just because you're trying to get bigger balls. Come on. I don't know how that guy did it back then when so few people had microscopes. That ball's a little bit big. We gotta start again. But you know what I should try. Let's see, where's one of my stencils? Yep. Gives you an idea how big or how tiny that thing is. The individual balls in the solder paste are almost big enough. Ha! I think I need a Pico pencil at this rate. I'm probably being needlessly pedantic here. I do apologise. There is a certain degree of sadomasochism in this. Doing it for the hell of doing it, even though it's a little bit over the top. No, it's too much. I think it's a bit ridiculous. I probably would have been better off just simply laying paste over the whole lot, reflowing it and seeing what's stuck. I'd say there's too much paste on that front right one, but once I put this little bit of paste on there, the rest of them should be good. So that one's good. Yes, I would not be surprised if you could just... The other thing I should have really done is just got pre-made balls. One of the few times when that would be by far the better solution. Just gotta get the solder paste off my tweezers. Instead I just smear it over my keyboard. Now, since I've got balls on this, even though they're a little odd, I'm probably going to be better off bringing these pads down. I won't take them completely down. They will have I want to leave it so they've got a little bit of a dome on them, but they're not going to have the bulk of solder that they have there now. So normally you do that when you've got something like a TQFP or something like that, but since this is going to be EGA, then that's going to be just fine. Now you got a new fume extractor. Who did you hire to suck up all the bad air? Now, as far as I remember, pin 1 was to the top right, and it is. And naturally the damn thing is stuck. We're going to need very little air for this. We're definitely not going to need 100 air. Did you see the ones that show in your scope? What, you mean hot air that shows in your scope? That's a little weird. Or have I misread what you're trying to say? I have a feeling that isn't actually... that's not yet reflowed. The trouble I'm having here is that it... okay. Now that it's bonded a little bit to the board, I can at least bring everything up. I don't want to go flying off like my SMC did the other day. Yeah, I can see, there it goes. Oh, it slots into your scope in the gap at the back, so what, like, just hooks on the back here and sucks up all the bad air. I think I actually did see those. The only trouble I have with them is, yeah, I'd probably find it a little bit obstructive. I can't even see where my part is. Oh, there it is. I can keep it steady for 2 seconds. I think I'm going to have to wash that up and have a look. Is that Marway I just saw turning up? Somehow all the flux ended up over there. Oh no, they're blobs. Blobs that serve no purpose on the 00165. Well, I don't feel like my balls were big enough. Unfortunately, I've lost track of where I am. Where am I looking? Oh, there. I guess we'll see. We'll make some measurements. Make sure it's not shorted. Okay. So we're going to make sure we don't have a short between, say, there and there. We don't. Nor these two sides. And we don't. Nor the gate with anything. Seems good. What about the gate now that we were testing out? Okay, I think we're good. You left the micro group? Yes, I did. Yeah, I've got so many other things I'm trying to get done, and I get distracted by the conversations and the arguments and everything else. So it's nothing personal against anybody. It's just simply I've got to get things done here, and I know my weakness is getting all tangled up in gossip and drama, so I've got to keep myself away from it. Let's put a... Okay. Oh, let's make sure to lift up the speaker cable there. Wouldn't be very good for that to get caught underneath. Hey, Ben. I know, I'm just being mean. That was uncalled for. Meanwhile, I'm snaring the Wi-Fi cable down there. Do I make a good living out of this? Not good enough yet. I, in all honesty, am still really more of a software development person. That's where I really will make my living. Doing this sort of thing, repair work like this, it covers what you might call the daily bread, but the software is what gives me the cream. Because the downside of the software is usually it doesn't pay off for a great many number of years. There we go, had to get that fellow down there safely. And so you can end up starving to death, waiting for your software to take off. So I suppose you could say I'll just hedge my bets. So I have a bit of software, have a bit of hardware. And in all honesty, it stops me going insane from boredom. I'm sure a lot of you, if you're forced to have to do the same job, no matter how much you like it initially, after a while, for some people the monotony is just the killer, and no matter how much money people throw at you, you legitimately lose interest in the job. It's very hard to keep people like that on board. How do I know Lewis? What happened was one of my own customers forced me to fix a MacBook, and they persisted on and on and on and on and on and on and on, and eventually I was like, fine. And while I was going through that process, someone else said to me, oh, you should check out this guy Lewis Rossman. He does MacBook repairs. You might be interested in what he's doing. I was like, I don't need to see no YouTube person sprouting off their nonsense. I don't want to see this stupid Lewis Rossman, whoever the hell he is. Yeah. Anyway, so I saw Lewis Rossman, and then I started watching a lot of his stuff. I saw his How Not to Do an SMC Job video, and I think that's what won me over, because I just cracked myself up laughing at everything he was doing, because it was funny. He knows it's funny too. And then what really sealed the deal was when they started using Open Board View, the initial version, before I got my sticky hands into it. And then through the combination of my cat's picture, micro, the black and white one that everyone sees, and Open Board View, that's over time, that's how Lewis got to know me. So I was lucky. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time with the right thing. Did you go to university or self-taught? Not everyone can code and create. I have been coding since I was about 9 years old or so, but nothing serious. I didn't get started really until I was about 15. I did go to university. I was there for 4 years. I did computer science, like the legitimate computer science in the sense of it is essentially mathematics. And any programming you do is merely only so you can do your assignments or prove your mathematic points. I also did computer systems engineering, which is all the electronics, the microcontrollers, things like that. And after 4 odd years or whatever, it was like, I'm getting sick of this. I wasn't really passing the subjects I should be passing. I was passing everything I wanted to pass. But in the end, I thought, no, I'm going to go out to the wild, wild west and see if I can find it. We have Wi-Fi. Come on now. I haven't got the antennas connected, but it should, picks up my, there you go. It's working. What language do you write the software? Okay, you bring up an interesting point there about being monotonous. You're absolutely right. Programming is extraordinarily monotonous. It will drive you insane. You'll become probably like Richard Stallman or someone like that. The key with software is to actually have a reason for doing it. Like in my case, say recently, Open Board View was my reason for doing it. It's written in C++. But I personally am a C person, not a C++ person. I prefer to stay in the dark dungeons of Terminal World rather than the fancy GUI world. But my need to want to improve on what Chlorodite and Peonov originally sort of created sort of drove me to go into the C++ and GUI world a bit more. And so that's what happened, and I think we were out there for about 18 months, and then I sort of walked away from it for 6 months because I felt, I've done what I really need to, what I wanted to. But then I thought, well, there was another feature I wanted, which was the PDF cross-talking feature. And at that point I kind of decided, I really need to go commercial with this. Because I need to get a house because I'm approaching 50, and I thought I don't want to be some 50-year-old still renting in a crappy place. I want my own place again. So that's what's happened. So really, it's a case of the choice of language and all that sort of thing tends to come as a consequence of what's driving you to code in the first place. But if you have no purpose for coding, or people are just sort of like saying code this, code that, and you're not really into it, then it'll rot your brain real fast. Let's see. Fortran. I actually like Fortran, funnily enough, which is really odd because I don't like formatted, like column-based formatted programming languages, but Fortran was oddly quite pleasant to do, and like, I do not like Python. I've tried Python a lot, but the active whitespace, or the fact that whitespace plays part of the language, it just sends me insane, because I'm a very sloppy coder. I do not do things with forethought or anything like that. It's just a case of I roll with it, I see what comes up, and then I go back and refine it, and go back and refine it, go back and refine it. So it's a very iterative sort of process. It gets me to where I want, but I'm essentially not very employable because of that, unless you just simply want to say, here you go, Paul, here's your budget, here's your department, you just code for yourself, do whatever we need to, and we'll leave it at that. But if I have to work in with a team, then I'm probably the worst thing ever that you could bring into a team, because I just misbehave. Oh, thank you very much, Spidey. No, really appreciate that. Remember to sign up to the support forum, and I'll click that through for you when I'm finished up here. Is that your own frame, or do you take the battery out? I take the battery out on every job, Ben, because it just makes it so much easier to get these flexes, and you're not going to do something like accidentally tweezers through there. We wouldn't want to do that. I mean, it'd probably get me a fair few YouTube hits if I did that and spontaneously caught on fire, but no. Yeah, as Pianov says there, Malware, OBV and Flexboard View, they're in C++. Thankfully, Pianov sort of, he's beaten my hand so many times every time I tried to put C code into OpenBoard View. I mean, there is still some I snuck in there. And Pianov's been really good. He's just tolerated it. But many a time he's like, yeah, across my knuckles because I put C in there. But it was good. I learnt to do more C++ stuff, and it's useful. Like, I like the vectors, and I like a lot of the standard template stuff now. At least you're not a boring sod. Well, Mum, I guess I'm not, but, that's your opinion. Anyway, you're not my real mum. Desk work is a lot worse. Companies tend to put coders and engineers doing menial tasks. Yeah, it's really not a good way of doing things, which is why you get a lot of the really groundbreaking, inspirational stuff from startups, but you get a lot of the massive products being done by large corporations. Perhaps one of the big problems with open source software is that people are doing only what they want. So you get these products that cover 80% of what should be a finished product, and no one wants to do the other 20%. That's sort of like just the real drudgery work. But we need that 20% done in order to be able to produce a good product. So when people say open source software is crap, it's predominantly because it's not so much the software is crap, it's just as such, but it hasn't been finished off properly. And so it doesn't matter how good your product is, unless you put the time into finishing it off, or at least making it fairly good, then it's going to go nowhere. Thank you for fixing my job. Oh, thank you, Ben. No worries. I'll send you the invoice. Lithium-ion batteries only catch fire when you stop recording. That is probably true. When I used to run the model aircraft shop here, I had a batch, I don't know, it was a couple of hundred lithium packs that they had a bad chemistry in them, and everybody was being affected by this. And I worried every night when I went to sleep, because my workshop shed was just full of these packs, and they would overnight just on the shelf puff. And usually when they puff, if they're going, say, low voltage or whatever, they're not too much of a problem. But sometimes they can still be volatile. Most of the time when batteries ignite, like you see on the videos and whatnot, it's because they're going through an overcharge problem. The regulator's failing to do its job or whatever, and it's going over the 4.2 volt threshold. But yeah, I mean, if you puncture them, they used to be very bad if you punctured them, but they seem to have adjusted the electrolyte chemistry that they only tend to smolder now. You don't need the invoice? Oh, that's very nice. Oh, that saves me a job then. Anyway, it's 11 o'clock, so I've got to go off and deal with the foster fur kids and give them their good night stories and whatnot. Watch some YouTube videos. Often it's Louis Rossmann videos. And I guess until next time, I'll see you later. Take care. Oh, sorry, Paulie. Just finished.